Hello fellow YouTubers, Mac in VR here, and welcome to my channel dedicated to all things gaming in mixed and virtual reality. Today I'm talking about the Oculus Quest in a historical context, as I think it may turn out to be as important to VR as the original Atari VCS was to video games as a whole. The world's first mainstream commercially successful home games console, the VCS went on to shape the nascent video game industry and is the grandfather to today's modern consoles. So let's dive straight in, and remember, we're born to respawn. Today's video is brought to you by the word synonymous, as it may get overused a bit, or a lot. So let's jump back in time, shall we? It's December 25th, 1981. You are 14 years old and you've put an Atari VCS on your Christmas list, knowing full well that your mum and dad can't afford to buy you one. You rush downstairs and with a nod from your parents you start to tear at the wrapping on your presents. At this time you're obsessed with World War II, which in your juvenile mind seems like a jolly thrilling adventure. The war had ended only 36 years previously, so was therefore still fresh in living memory. Your first present is a book on tanks. Brilliant! Second and third presents are both Tamiya 1/35th scale models, a German Panzer IV and an American Sherman. Amazing! Even my nan has pulled one out of the bag with a set of German Panzer Grenadier figures. Though in typical nan fashion, the surprise is slightly spoilt when the box falls out of the wrapping paper when you pick it up, as by this time she has gone quite mad. You sit back and look at your pile of presents, meticulously planning your excuse to get back upstairs as soon as humanly possible and start building. Then your dad grins and pulls a big brightly wrapped box from behind the settee. "Oh, nearly forgot this one," he says with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. You think, no it can't be, can it? But as you peel the paper away to reveal the box, your heart skips a beat. A brand new Atari VCS, your very first console. As you may have guessed, the 14-year-old boy in that story was me, plain old Mac, as there was no VR back in the day. And here it is. The actual Atari VCS I got for Christmas that year, in the box, still working. I just found out recently that is one of the original 6-switch wood grain effect VCSs, which are a bit more rare now, and also makes me think that my mum and dad bought a second-hand one, as by the time I got mine the design had changed to the more common 4-switch VCS. But my 14-year-old self will not hold that against them now, as I had Pac-Man. Combat. Asteroids. And Super Breakout to play. To put my mum and dad's purchase into perspective, when the Atari VCS launched it was priced at $199, which, when adjusted for inflation, is a whopping $840. Could you imagine Sony or Microsoft trying to launch a console at over $840? There were nearly riots when Microsoft originally announced a launch price of $499 for the Xbox One with Kinect. Remember that? The VCS went through many redesigns and was finally discontinued in 1992 after 14 years on the market. If that 14-year cycle had been repeated by later consoles, we would still be playing on the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2. Think about that for a moment. It wasn't the first home gaming console, but it was the first successful mainstream console and made Atari synonymous with video games. So here's a fun fact. Number one, a guy called Rob Fulop created Missile Command while working for Atari. This game went on to sell more than 2 million copies. For this milestone, Atari awarded him with a voucher for a free turkey. Fulop promptly resigned. Fun fact number 2, after a dispute about royalties, 4 programmers who worked for Atari left and formed Activision. Yep, the company behind blockbusters Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Call of Duty and Destiny can trace its roots back to the Atari VCS, which is one of the many reasons why I think it's possibly the most historically important console ever. At this moment, you're all looking at me with a rather blank expression, aren't you? Mac, isn't this a channel about VR? Yes, it is, and here is my point. Atari became synonymous with video games as it was the first successful mass market home console. It penetrated into the hearts of kids like me and turned us into lifelong gamers. It also became a normal thing to have under your telly, or TV for our American cousins, a video recorder and an Atari VCS games console. Fast forward 40 years and we have the Oculus Quest, the first successful mainstream standalone wireless VR headset. Affordable, feature-rich, and it would seem infinitely upgradable with loads of third-party accessories available. I mean, look what's happened to it in just its first year on sale. Wireless 6 degrees of freedom room scale VR with hand tracking, Oculus Link cable and virtual desktop to allow wireless PC VR gaming. What will happen this year or the next? It has quite quickly penetrated into the hearts of gamers and will be, for a lot of people, their first taste of virtual reality. Several of my friends who weren't particularly interested in VR have now gone out and bought an Oculus Quest after trying mine. They were blown away by the simplicity of the setup, clarity of display and the accuracy of the in-sight tracking. So what I'm trying to say is I think from a historical perspective, the Oculus Quest will be seen as just as important to gaming as the Atari VCS is now. I mean, they've got them in a museum. Gosh, that makes me feel old. We may look back in 40 years' time and think, yeah, the Quest is the VR headset that started all this. The success of VR and AR may be historically linked to the success of this headset. I may even make a 3D holographic direct-to-brain download AR presentation about it in the year 2060. Though I will be 93 years old by then and may just be a disembodied head living in a jar. So next time your partner complains that you're spending too much time playing in VR, you can say this: I'm not playing, I'm making history happen. And maybe the Oculus Quest will become synonymous with VR, like its grandfather, the Atari VCS, became synonymous with video games. What do you think? Are we living history right now? Is the Quest on course to be displayed in a museum one day? Don't forget to comment down below. Well, that's all for today. Feel free to share this content, like, subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload any new content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the other side.